And one of the most exciting young pacers in Western Australia at the moment is the 3-year-old Franco Edward. And with me today is Franco Edward's trainer and driver, Kyle Harper.
G'day Ken, how you doing?
I'm going very well. And Derby plans are on the agenda for Franco Edward, who is starting at Gloucester Park on Friday night?
Yeah, that's the end game plan this season, Ken. We like to set him for the Derby, and I think he'd have a good chance. But there's some very good horses around for that. They've really come out of the woodworks this season, and I think it's really probably going to come down to barrier draws because there's not a lot between them.
Last year he was the outstanding 2-year-old. He won he started in 2 Group 1 races. He won them both. He beat Shockwave in the Pearl, then in the Golden Slipper. He beat another very good colt in Bletchley Park. Another Group 1 coming up on April the 5th is a $200,000 WA Derby. Can he make it 3 Group 1s out of 3 Group 1 wins out of 3 starts in Group 1s?
I sure hope so, Ken. As you said, he was just sensational as a 2-year-old. His win in the Slipper was just outstanding. I remember thinking at the time when I had to pull out that we just couldn't win from there, and he shouldn't have been able to win from there. But as those special horses do, he found a way. But he was just better than him as a 2-year-old, I think. No disrespect to any of the others, they're all great horses, but 3-year-old campaign, it's a different story. They've all sort of caught up, and he has improved, but I don't think he's above them like he was as a 2-year-old. So there's not much between them. Patrick the Piranha, he's got that scintillating gate speed, and you wouldn't want him in front of you. Shockwave, you certainly wouldn't want him in front of you, and the list goes on. So certainly barrier draws are going to play the biggest defining factor, I think. But April's still a little ways away, so we've got to get there first.
And I suppose you, like me, do consider that Shockwave has improved from a 2-year-old now as a 3-year-old.
Absolutely, he's improved in leaps and bounds. He's always been a very, very nice horse. I thought he just probably as a 2-year-old lacked that little bit of X factor. He certainly found it as a 3-year-old. As I said, I wouldn't want to be sitting outside him because I don't think I'd enjoy the result. He sort of wasn't that much of a concern as a 2-year-old. As I said, I think Franco was just a league above him, but as a 3-year-old, he's every bit as good, if not better. So, we certainly want to be drawing inside him, and all the respect in the world for him. You're dead right, he's improved a lot.
And I think your horse has too, Franco Edward. In this campaign, he had about 5 starts for 4 wins, so everything's clicking along nicely. Yeah,
something like that, Ken. And we haven't found the bottom of him yet. He's sort of only been 60% fit, and that's all we've needed to do so far. He sort of ran into Patrick the Piranha, who led in town, which I think was his only defeat this time in. But as I said, you can't give those sort of horses a head start, and he wasn't at his best, but even at his best, I don't think he would have been catching it in front. So we sat him up that night, and it was a sensational run. I can't remember the times now that he ran personally. I think it was 55.8 off the track, home in 27 something. And, as a 3-year-old, you just can't fault those times, and you swap the barrier draws and you swap the result. But he's doing everything right. I couldn't be happier with him. So hopefully we can get the job done for Watson again.
So since that defeat behind Patrick the Piranha, he's raced a couple of times to Pinjarra. He's won with a leg in the air at his last start at Pinjarra. I think he came home in 26.8 over the last 400 metres, which is pretty sizzling. But he did pull a bit. Was that a concern?
Oh, look, I freshened him right up. After his previous run before that, I give him a pretty quiet week. And then he just knocked the leg at the end of that week, which just added 3 or 4 days on that I just had to go careful with him. He was supposed to start on the Friday, but it was just too soon, so he just missed that little bit of work. So he was real fresh, and I sharpened him up a little bit for that run at Pinjarra. But it was about 38 degrees too, I think, so I could have let him slide a little bit. He probably would have come back and settled, but I just wanted to go as slow as possible. He probably didn't need to be racing in that sort of weather, so by the end of it, I just sort of give him what he wanted and let him slide a little bit the last 300, and as you said, 26.8, he was really impressive, but he got the early sectionals the way he wanted it, but he was very fresh, and he did over-race a little bit, but he's had more work this time, so I don't think that'll be a concern Friday night.
Kyle, the 3-year-old, a lot of trainers with 3-year-olds keep their horses in restricted 3-year-old company leading up to the classics, but you've let him loose against open class company coming through the ranks, meeting older and more experienced horses like you did at Pinjarra and like you'll have to do at Gloucester Park on Friday night.
Yeah, sure. The new handicapping system is a bit of a hot topic, and I'm starting to get my head around it. I'm actually starting to like the system. As most people probably at the start, I didn't like it very much, as anything new scares people, anything different people don't like. I think the complexity of it was the biggest issue for me, and I'm not saying I fully understand it yet, but I'm certainly getting there, and I'm starting to like it a lot more. But it probably doesn't benefit the young horses as much as it used to. You used to get a few free races, and every metro race you won after your first one was only a C-class penalty. You don't get any of that now. You do get a 25% discount on your win dollars, but for a horse like Franco Edward, it's probably more value to go in the open class, as you say, or the less than 40,000 rather than a 3-year-old race, and it's probably easier company for him. He doesn't get that 25% discount, but he's probably racing weaker company than what he would be if I put him in a 3-year-old race against the likes of Shockwave and Patrick the Piranha, etc., etc. Not that we're trying to run away from them, but as a young 3-year-old who hasn't had many starts, we're just trying to educate him the best we can and teach him, and probably the best way to do that is to give him some easier kills and get his confidence up and teach him how to be a racehorse. And sometimes that's hard when the class of horses as good or better than you. So we want to teach him to be a winner, and that's sort of why we've avoided some of the 3-year-old races. And as I say, it's probably not as big an incentive as it used to be to go in those 3-year-old races, unfortunately.
And Kylie's drawn barrier 4 on Friday night. What's your early thoughts about barrier 4?
The barrier draw wasn't too big a concern. We probably didn't want to draw outside Sweet and Fast. It's a pretty classy runner, and no disrespect to the others, some nice horses there, but he's probably a grade above them. Probably both those horses are a grade above the rest of them. It looks like he should find the front early. It's his first time over 2,500, so it's actually a really good tester for the Derby coming up. That's part of the reason I put him in it, just to see how he would handle the 2,500. I don't think it'll worry him at all, but you never know until you find out, do you? Too
true. And then looking towards the Derby, which is in the first week of April the 5th, there's the Caduceus Club Classic, a $40,000 classic on Friday week. So you'll be setting Franco Edward for that race too, wouldn't you?
For sure, yeah. That's the next start we're heading for. So, it should be a good run Friday over the 2,500 to drop him back into that. Again, I think there's going to be some classy horses in that, and I think barrier draws will play the big role.
And originally there was thoughts about taking this horse to the east to contest the derbies over in Melbourne and Sydney. What's the situation there at the moment?
Yeah, look, it was on the cards at one point. We thought about it, and it certainly wasn't taken off the cards for any particular reason. It was just more so that the class of horse over there is very strong. It's a long way to go if you draw a bad barrier. He's a 3-year-old. He's doing really, really well, Ken, but as 3-year-olds can, they're up and down. They go through a growth spurt here and there. And I just thought he was probably a little bit immature. We sort of discussed it, myself and Rob Watson, and we sort of bounced back and forth off each other, and we both probably had different opinions at different times. He wanted to go, I wanted to go, he didn't, I didn't.
Yeah.
It was back and forth. We couldn't really make a decision on it. In the end, we just thought it was a safer bet to stay here and make sure the horse was how we wanted him for the WA Derby.
And Kyle, not only is Franco Edward in wonderful form, so is Kyle Harper. The Northern Cup last Saturday, a $48 chance, got the money, and then last night we watched you at Narrogin come from last to win in a thrilling finish in the final race with Camelot King at Narrogin. So you're in pretty good form in the sulky.
Yeah, things have been going really good, Ken. Yeah, it's been good. I had a friend ask me for some tips before the weekend, and I said it looked hard, but they're not very happy with me. Captain Kenny at $14 and Major Rush at $48. I think there was a bit of price about the one last night, so it's been a really good weekend, and it's great to have those sort of weekends because I don't drive for a predominant stable. I don't drive for one stable. I really freelance around a lot, so sometimes it's far and few between. Sometimes the winners, but I think it makes it all that much sweeter. You win a race like the Northern Cup for a bloke like Graham Gilbert, and just to see the pure enjoyment on his face and how much that means to him. It's great to drive winners. I love to drive winners for anyone, but you drive them for the big camps, and they've probably won a few of those races before, and it's still great. But I think for the little guys, it's just all that much sweeter for me to jump on for them and get the job done.
And there'll be a lot of punters at Gloucester Park on Friday night. we'll be having a few dollars on you to win the first race with the bright young pacer, the 8-year-old debt-free Charlie. You've recently taken over the preparation, and by golly, he's shown a different side to him. He's got brilliant gate speed, but then last week we saw him use his gate speed, but then we saw him sit in the breeze and fight on like a bulldog.
Yeah, it was a great tough run from him. He usually goes a lot better out in front. That's his favourite place to be. So the short trip helped him for sure. He fought on like a bulldog, as you say, over the mile. But he's been racing really well. Peter Arthur's done a sensational job with him over the years, and he's probably at that mark now where he has to race Friday nights in town, and it's a long trip for him. So he's been good enough to give me a go with the horse, and we've been earning. He sort of needs to wait for his barrier draws and the right fields, and he's going to win a couple more. But
how's he going to go from the outside of the back line?
Probably doesn't suit him the best. He can sit and kick. The race would have to be run to suit. It does look a little bit tough from out there for him, but you never know your luck. That's what I told someone on the weekend, and they're pretty unhappy with me, so I don't want to put anyone off, but he's probably a solid place chance from there.
Yes, because running second to Wesley's no mean feat like he did last week, so he will pay to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. They ran good time, I think 1:55 around abouts, and punching the breeze in that time is pretty good after burning out of the gate. It's probably one of his better runs he's put in, so he's certainly in form. He's taken me a little while to work him out. He's been a little bit hit and miss, but I think I've got him now, and he's racing pretty true.
And another horse that you did a good job with last week, or the week before, was On a Happy Note. He's an old-timer in the stables of Michael Brennan, and I think when you won with On a Happy Note, it was his first win for about 3 years.
Yeah, I think it was, Ken. It's been a long time between drinks for him. He's been unlucky. He's actually been racing really truly and really well, but been unlucky. He got knocked over a couple of times and didn't run into much luck, and he's a horse that needs to be driven for luck. He's drawn a little bit awkwardly in what looks like a pretty nice field Friday, but he's not impossible, but probably place chances are for him, but he's not impossible from there. He's been racing really well, and the Brennan camp do a fantastic job with them, so they're a pleasure to drive for. You always know you're going to be in with a shot if you get the right trip.
And you've got a couple of other drives on Friday night, Blackjack Zack and Smackwater Jack.
Yeah, a couple of late pickup drives. Again, I think Smackwater Jack's drawn a bit awkward outside the back line from memory. Haven't had a good chance to look at that field, but Matthew Scott's in great form. He does a great job, so he's a pleasure to drive for as well. And John Ellis, he's done a terrific job with Blackjack Zack, so he's just a lovely little sit and kick. If he gets the right run in transit, he's knocking on the door, but again, he's just got to be driven for a bit of luck, Blackjack Zack, so he's always dangerous when he's close enough.
And Kyle, over recent years we've admired the way you drove and prepared the wonderful Better's Fire. Are you missing him? He's over in America now, winning races over there. Are you ever going to get a horse as good as Better's Fire again? Can Franco Edward be that horse?
Oh, I miss him dearly, Ken. Fortunately, I get on really well with the guy that's got him over there, and we always converse over Facebook, and he always lets me know how he's going and sends me a few pictures and that. And he's really happy. He's really doing well. I think he's won 5 now and run a few places, and he's done a big job for him, and he's going to continue to do so. So he's getting looked after well, and that's the main thing for me. And he's a happy horse, but will I ever get one that will replace him? I don't know. Franco may be as good, he may be better, but to replace him, he was a pretty special horse to me, and I'm sure Franco Edward will be too, but it's hard to compare horses like that, so we'll just take it one step at a time and see what happens, but yeah, certainly miss him for sure.
And Kyle, we're certainly all looking forward to Franco Edward racing at Gloucester Park on Friday night. Good luck, not only on Friday night, but in the Caduceus Club Classic and in the WA Derby.
Thanks very much, Ken.